Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives. This is Jess, and I am with a real LA legend, a real California icon right here. I mean, he has been called a scissors-wielding lunatic. He's been called the Donald Trump of hair. Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jonathan Antin.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? What do you have to say for yourself?
I was really good until I heard that I've been called the Donald Trump of hair. My God.
I mean, I think because of, the flamboyant personality and you're very outspoken, in the day, the Donald Trump,
right.
The Apprentice.
Right.
You are most remembered to my audience and to the listeners because you had your own Bravo show for 3 seasons. Blowout was a huge show on Bravo in the early days of Bravo when it really was just Queer Eye for the Straight Guy and Inside the Actor Studio. And you really were one of the first spin-offs. You know what? I had interviewed a couple of the Queer Eye guys like Carson Kressley, and he had told me that those initial shows on Bravo, like Blowout, Workout, those were all little spin-offs of the different niches within Queer Eye.
The first of us was really Blowout, the restaurant, and then Workout came with Jackie like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Jackie was on my show. Mm-hmm. Bravo and Andy asked me to put Jackie on my show because they were shooting a pilot with her and they wanted her on my show as part of her pilot to sell her show. It was a new style of television, sort of revolutionary in television.
Actually, let's start here. I mean, I want to get into like a bit of your history and then we'll find out how Blowout came to be. I mean, I know that you grew up in Beverly Hills, right? In LA?
I was born in the San Fernando Valley. We then moved to Point Dume, Malibu, and then by the time I was going into high school, we moved to Beverly Hills. I went to Beverly Hills High School with, you name them.
You name them. Who did you go to high school?
I mean, just a lot of the a lot of the sort of my generation, the Nicolas Cage and Schwimmer, and there were so many more celebrities that came out of Beverly High. But those were the two that kind of like I knew and was around, and we lived in Beverly Hills, but we weren't like north of Santa Monica Boulevard in the multi-million-dollar homes. We were sort of south of Wilshire in the smaller flats.
We should say, you grew up in a very talented family. Your sister is Robin Antin. She's a dancer, choreographer, the founder of the Pussycat Dolls. You have a brother, Steve Antin. He was a child actor in The Goonies, one of like the greatest movies of all time. And did he not grow up and he's now a director and he directed Burlesque with Christina Aguilera and Cher?
My brother, actually, his first big hit film while I was when I was I think freshman at Beverly High, was called The Last American Virgin. And it was a huge cult teen idol film. And at the time, I was studying acting at the Beverly Hills Playhouse with Milton Casellas. Everybody wanted, I wanted to be an actor. My mother wanted me to be an actor. Everybody wanted me to be a movie star. And my brother's agents and managers all kind of thought like, Jonathan's the bigger, darker, buffer, more dude-like version of Steve. He's going to be the star. Steve's doing really well, but Jonathan's going to be the star.
And what were you guys like? Like, just what was it like growing up in that household? Like, did they really foster each of your talents? Like, was your sister always dancing and trying to choreograph from a young age? Like, what were you like as a kid?
My sister, Robin, she grew up dancing, and don't forget, I'm the baby of the family. I don't want to say I'm in my very early 50s, and I'm the youngest. So So by the time I came around, they were kind of like already, like by the time Robin was 16, I was still kind of a little kid. My brother grew up a child actor.
How did you discover hair and the fashion around that and the
It
styling
just kind
around
of
it?
happened. I was studying acting, very serious. I had John Travolta and Patrick Swayze's manager,
Uh-huh.
Bob Lamond. Bob Lamond passed away. He was a genius, wonderful man. And I was 16. He was certain that I was going to be a star. One day, my grandmother said to me, my whole mother's side of my family is British from
Oh, wow.
UK. Yeah. And my grandmother said to me one day, John, you've never picked me up. You have a car. She said, you need to be a good grandson and come pick up your nanny and have me for lunch. And I was like, all right, Nan. Yeah, sure. Whatever you want. I'll come pick you up. When do you want me to pick you up? And I had like a bug and, I said, when do you want me to pick you? She said, well, what about tomorrow? I'm having my hair done at Marinello's School of Beauty on Fairfax, near Fairfax High. And I said, okay. So she said, okay, I'll be there at like 3:00 or whatever. So I went by and she was having her hair done and they were doing her hair. And I walked into the beauty school. And mind you, prior to this, my brother, my mother, my sister, everybody in my family always went to the best hairstylists like my whole life. Growing up, my mom always took us to really good hairstylists to get our hair cut. And, like we always had good haircuts as kids. Like, there's a lot of parents that just take their kids to like, barbers or wherever. Like,
Because it makes sense because she was an artist. Like,
that my dad was an artist from a childhood and went to Pratt Institute and college and degree and like he's like Picasso. She wasn't an interior designer yet, but she was very fashionable, very stylish. She was British, amazing taste from out of the gate. My mom had the greatest taste in the world, and to this day still does. And that's where we all get it from. And my dad's obviously artistic ability. So I end up in this beauty school. My grandmother's having her hair done. I'm sitting in the back of the beauty school. The freshman instructor is teaching the freshman class about how to draw, like how to do 0 degree, 45 degree, and 90-degree haircuts in people terms. In English, that means one length, a little layered, and very layered, right? And he's drawing it on the chalkboard, but it was like stick people the way he was drawing it. And I was sitting in the back of the classroom with my grandmother like, who is this guy drawing on the chalkboard and what the fuck is he drawing? Like, that's not how you draw hair. And being the loudmouth child that I was, 16 years old, I said something to my grandmother. I was like, hey, Nan, who is this dude drawing hair? Like, that's not how you draw. And she was like, Jonathan, stop it. Do not say anything. I come here twice a week. I do not want any problems. Please. And I was like, all right. Sorry. So the freshman instructor, really cool, like very sophisticated, older black man from the South, like Virginia or wherever he was from, Mr. Richardson, suit and a tie and a scarf or a handkerchief and, a carnation. And this guy was like to the nines. He was like Billy D. Williams in a beauty school, right? And hair done. And he walked over and he said hello to my grandmother and so eloquently, Mrs. Gella. That was my mother's maiden name. So wonderful to see you. Such a pleasure to make your acquaintance again. I would imagine this is your grandson. Very nice to meet you, young man. You're a handsome devil at that. And, I'm sitting there. I'm a dude, right? 16-year-old dude, you know? I was like, okay, dude, cool, yeah, thanks, man. And he said to me, by the way, Mrs. Geller, if you could just excuse me for 1 second, I would like to say, during the class, I overheard your grandson mention something about my drawings. And I would like to say, young man, if you're in someone's classroom and you have something to say and it ain't nice, I would highly recommend you say nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and by the way, since you know so much about drawing, he took out a piece of chalk and he was like, why don't you show me? Put your money where your mouth is. And I was like, okay. And my grandmother was like dying. She was like green, white, like, please don't. And I had to. I took the chalk and I went up to the chalkboard and I drew 3 heads of hair. All the students were watching. And of course, all the like young girls there were like, oh my God, who's that?
Mm-hmm.
We want to cut his hair. Who's that? Is he a client? We want him. I want him. I want him. And, you know, the girl at the front desk was like, no. He's not here to get his hair cut. He's here to pick up his grandmother. None of you are getting your hands on him. And all the boys, you know, young, gay, like very hip happening, very stylish. I was Mr. T-shirt, jeans, and tennis shoes and a leather jacket. You know, they were very done, you know. And they all wanted to cut my hair. Anyway, I drew the hair and we got ready to leave, and the head of the school ran out of his office, this big, flamboyant, like, he looked like Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable all in one. He had, like, big blonde teased hair and a floral gown and, like, a big black mustache, more like Magnum P.I., big black mustache, Tom Selleck, and he sounded like Harvey Fierstein. He talked like this from New York, you know, Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, Mrs. Geller, is this your grandson? He's amazing. Oh, my God. He said, he's incredible. Oh, my God. He has hands of an angel. He's like Michelangelo. And, oh, my God, look at his face. He's like Warren Beatty out of Shampoo.
Uh-huh.
He said, have you ever thought about being a hairstylist? I said, not really, dude. That's not my trip. Sorry. He goes, what do you mean it's not your trip? Wait, who do you think? You think it's not good enough for you? I was like, well, I'm studying acting. Yeah, whatever, acting, schmacting. You got hands. You can draw. You're an artist. It's not about acting. There's too many actors in this town. You would be on your own. He goes, I can tell. You're the other side of the fence.
Wow.
You'd have every girl in town killing to cut. And I was like, okay, all right. Like, you know, whatever, dude. You know, and I left. And he gave my grandmother his card. I thought about it for a couple of weeks, and like I always did, I kind of ran it by my sister. My sister said, Jonathan, if you were a hairstylist, oh my God. First of all, you need to watch the movie Shampoo.
Yeah.
And second of all, if you were a hairstylist, every girl, every guy, everybody in LA would want you to cut their hair. So, cut to, I call Mr. Mike, that was his name, and I enrolled in beauty school. And
wow.
I was the lamest, by far, hairstylist in beauty school until, like, it's supposed to take like 10 months. It took me like 14 because I was just lame and never showed up and was late all the time, and I took forever. And
did you wind up graduating high school?
I took the GED. Yeah, I dropped out of Beverly. Yeah.
Wow, look at you. You dropped out of Beverly High. Okay. And so,
beauty school dropout.
Totally. I mean, truly, look at you. Wow. Right. Okay, so go to beauty school. A light bulb went off at the end of, like, a month before I graduated beauty school. Because I knew these great hairdressers growing up as a child, like, I was going to their salons while I was in beauty school, really watching them, and they all knew that I was in beauty school, and they were all
dying for me to get out of beauty school to be their assistants because I was, you know, kind of a young, handsome, cool kid. You know what I mean? And, you know, I was different, you know. All the boys in town wanted me as their assistant. And I ended up assisting a few guys that were geniuses. But anyway, like a month before beauty school, a light bulb went off. I kind of figured out how to take what I did on paper and transfer it to heads. But it took me a year to get there. While I thought it was going to take me a week or a month because I could draw hair perfectly. But it took me forever to figure out how to go from 3D to 2D to 3 or 4D. You know what I mean?
And do you attribute that just to, you know, the 10,000 hour principle of just like doing the same thing over and over? Like, how did you become great?
No, I attribute it to, it was like, oh my God, I know what happens now. I get it because listen, when you pull hair straight down and you cut it one length, boom, 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 like that's not that hard. You know, you could do that to somebody, kind of, right? Like any girl, any guy, dad, mom can comb their daughter's hair or their son's hair straight down or their bangs and cut a straight line-ish, right? But to pick hair up in the air and cut it up here and then know what's going to happen when that hair falls, that's a different story. So that understanding, that communication that I had with hair, and that I felt like I was able to talk to hair like, okay, I'm picking you up here, I'm going to cut you here, I already know where you're going to fall and what you're going to look like. So now, go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? Like, It was like I was communicating with hair like on another level, and I never felt like that was going to happen to me, but I got it. And then obviously over the years, like I expanded upon that, and you know, like I knew Vidal Sassoon very well. I used to cut his daughter's hair, Eden and Katya, right in front of him in his kitchen, and, you know, shaking like a leaf. But, like, you know, I just figured out a way to do hair with everybody I assisted and the Sassoon way, like my way. It wasn't the 10,000 hour theory. It was a little bit of my dad, a little bit of Da Vinci. You know, I was a big fan of Leonardo da Vinci, and, you know, that's how I kind of learned how to draw was my dad and Da Vinci's, like, you know, depth of field and, you know, horizon lines and vanishing points. And I incorporated all that into cutting and coloring. I used to do both.
And when did you open your first salon?
I graduated beauty school when I was just before I turned 18, and I apprenticed until I was 21. I did hair for 3 years, and then the salon I was working in went under. So I had no choice. I bounced back and forth between 2 salons, and I became the director of education in one at the Beverly Center, Carlton Hair, and Arthur John's in West Hollywood that I started in as a shampoo person, an assistant, went under. And Arthur was kind of like my mentor. And when he went under, I kind of felt like I owed it to him to come back and try and help him out. And I did. I left Carlton. I went back to Arthur's, tried to help him out. And he just was out. He wanted to leave. So he left, and I was there with 2 or 3 other hairdressers. Sally Hirschberger was one of them.
Did you come up with Sally Hirschberger? Like, were you...
Yeah. I mean, Sally started before me. She started before me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you friends with her?
At the time, well, that's another long story that I won't even bother, but my brother and Sally were childhood best friends. But when I bought the salon, because I took over and I bought the salon, all of a sudden, like overnight, it became the first Jonathan Salon West Hollywood. So Sally came to work the next day and it was like, what? You bought the salon? What do you mean? Where's Arthur? And I was like, well, he's not here anymore. And I own the salon now. So guess what, babe? You work for me.
So she legitimately worked for you?
Sally worked for me for over 10 years.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
She worked for me for over 10 years before she opened her first salon.
So tell me, how did Bravo approach you? How does one suddenly get approached? You own this hair salon. It's very successful. How does Bravo come to you?
I was doing the Today Show every other month. I was doing commentary on makeovers on the Today Show. I was doing commentary on all the 4 award, the Emmys, Oscars, Grammys, Golden Globes, day after, red carpet, talking about everybody's hair. Some good, some bad, some horrible, some fabulous. I had done tons of television. I did 2 shows before Blowout. Fashion Emergency on E and Extreme Makeover on NBC. And before it was called Extreme Home Makeover. And I did the first 4 episodes of Extreme Makeover and the first 6 episodes of Fashion Emergency. And but I wasn't wasn't my show. I just was on the show doing hair, and producer guy named Ben Silverman, who at the time was like part of Mark Burnett's team with Survivor, was kind of like a up and coming mover and shaker, the best salesman in Hollywood. And one of my clients was an agent, lawyer, Rob Lee, at CAA, and or William Morris. And Ben called Rob and said, Rob, do you know who this guy Jonathan Antin is? Because I just made the show The Restaurant with Rocco DiSpirito.
Yes.
And I want to do another one about a hair salon very similar to The Restaurant. That's where we came from.
Got it.
And Rob called me and said, this really hot young producer, Ben Silverman, wants to meet with you. It's for real. Like, Jonathan, I know how you are. I know your book's solid. I know you're busy. I know you do all the celebrities, but you got to give this guy a minute. He's larger than life, and I was like, Rob, listen, I'll give him an hour, but I'm booked for like the month. I can squeeze him in for a haircut and he can pay, but like, I don't have an hour for anything. I don't even have an hour to breathe, and I was young, I was 34, 35. I was slammed. Every celebrity, color, cutting, crazy, covers of every magazine, every photographer, Annie Leibovitz, Herb Ritz, Matthew Ralston, you name them. And Ben came in, and I was working on 3 clients, literally, simultaneously, and he just sat in the corner of my room, in my West Hollywood salon, watching me, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with like a microscope,
Studying you.
Studying me. And he kept getting up, asking my assistant, hey, do you know how much longer it's going to be? Because like, I don't have all day long. You know what I mean? Like, either he wants to talk to me or he doesn't. And then Rob called me on the salon phone and said, Jonathan, what the fuck are you doing? You can't make Ben wait like this. Like, he's a big deal. He's bringing a show over from London called The Office with this other actor named Steve that's going to be like larger than life, and you have a great opportunity here. Like, please talk to him. Stop for 1 minute. I was like, Rob, I think at the time I had like Sandra Bernhardt and maybe Katie Lang. I think they were there that day.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah, it was a fun day,
Yeah.
and that's why I was all like, caught up in the moment, and
Yeah.
Ben was there and he saw them, and that kind of like, that obviously really lit his fire, So anyway, I ended up talking to him. He pitched me on the show, basically wanted to do a show called a reality show about me and my life, but he really wanted me to open a salon in Beverly Hills and asked me, he said, are you interested in opening a salon in Beverly Hills? Because I love your salon in West Hollywood, but it would be really great for TV if you were opening a salon in Beverly Hills. And I said, I've looked in Beverly Hills. I like Beverly Hills. I'm a little more West Hollywood, it's a little more LA, my vibe, but I could open another salon. I'm, packed here. I could open another salon and fill it overnight, And he said to me, great, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And he left, and I kind of thought like, maybe. I called Rob. Rob called me and asked me what happened, and I told him, I said, it kind of sounded like everybody else who's talked to me about, because there was other people talking to me about doing TV because they had all seen me on Fashion Emergency and the Today Show and blah, blah, blah. And they knew I was like kind of crazy and, and whatever.
So Blowout is on the air. You guys get 3 seasons, which is amazing. You then become a judge on Sheer Genius, which is a show, it's actually like one of my all-time personal favorites, Sheer Genius. Phenomenal show. It's where Tabitha came from. She eventually gets her own show. Tabitha takes over. So you really came up with these people like Patty Stanger and Jackie Warner from Workout. Because this is sort of like the pre-Housewives world of Bravo. Were you friendly with those people, like Patty Stanger from Millionaire Matchmaker, Jackie? Like, what was the relationship like? You were saying that you were cutting. Tell the story about like cutting Jackie's hair.
Bravo asked me to have Jackie on my show. Ben asked me, told me he was doing a show with her, and Andy asked me, and they were calling it Workout. It was a spin-off of Blowout, and I said no. In my contract, it says I do who I want. I do what I want. I hire and fire who I want. It's reality. It's not scripted. And I don't want to do her hair. I don't know her. She wants to make an appointment and come in and pay. I'll do her,
So in other words, they want to do kind of a cross-promotion type of deal, like a crossover.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to call it. They wanted me to have her on to blow her up, and I wasn't into it, and 5 producers called me and begged me and begged me and begged me, and I was like, okay, I'll do her. And then she came in and I did her, and she was kind of like, not the sweetest girl in the world. She was kind of playing like a character while I was doing her hair, and kept saying to me like, don't cut it too short, like she was kind of being like Tabitha, like trying to be tougher than me. And I was like, wait, I walked over to my showrunner. I was like, is this chick for real? Like she's like telling me how to do her hair. Like, people don't tell me how to do their hair. People ask me how I feel their hair should be done. They might tell me what they want, but they don't tell me how to do it. She was like telling me how to do it, and she was kind of being loud and a little abrasive. And I basically turned to her and I said to her, hey, just so you know, like, I don't care if the cameras are on, but like, you're filming a pilot. I'm filming an episode, a TV show. Not all pilots go, so don't count your chickens before they're hatched. And by the way, if you haven't seen the show, it's called Blowout, and your show is called Workout. Does that not ring a bell? Like, spin off?
And how did she react to you?
And she got all funky and weird and was like, she got up and was like, I'm not doing this. This is horrible. The way he's talking to me and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool, she can go. And then they calmed her down and calmed me down. And we finished the haircut, and then she left. And, that was it. And then they asked me if I'd go on her show for her to work me out. And I was like, No way. I had more than enough of her in my chair.
Was Andy Cohen a producer on Blowout?
Andy Cohen was a producer on every show on Bravo because he was an executive.
Did you like what was your friendship or relationship with him like?
In the beginning, it was great. After the second season, when I told them we were going to be I was making a product line. I wasn't going to be in the salon that much, and I was going to be flying to the East Coast back and forth and going to QVC, but they were more than welcome to come with me and follow me. And so Andy was like, absolutely not. No. We're staying in your salon. You can go make your product line. We're staying in your salon. And I was like, no, it doesn't really work that way. In my contract, it says you can't film in my salon unless I'm there. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just sit in my salon filming unless I'm there. No way. It'll be a circus act. I won't allow that to happen to my brand. Andy just kind of went with it because I said to him, listen, Andy, I know what you want. I know you want drama. I know you want, like, craziness. I know you want me to be, like, screaming and yelling and crying and this and that. Don't worry about it. You'll get all that. Whether I'm in the salon making a product line on QVC, like, it doesn't matter where I am. Like, you'll get fucking craziness. I'm crazy anyway. You'll get all that shit.
I mean, they filmed your therapy sessions. They filmed you having breakdowns and
They filmed me in the shower.
Yeah.
They got me in the shower that day. I was like, took a shower in bottled water because my water got shut off in my house. And then I ended up coming up with the idea of making a water filter. Right. Because I loved the way I felt after using Evian water and taking a shower. But that was something I always did on photo shoots to girls' hair and guys' hair. I used bottled water in the middle of the desert doing big photo shoots. And
I'm dying to hear about you were saying that when Ben Silverman came in that you had Sandra Bernhard and Katie Lang in the chair. I want to hear about, like, who are the iconic, huge, true celebrities that you cut and styled their hair. Like, sort of, can you take me, if I, like, go through some celebrities, can you tell me what projects or what looks you helped sort of design in terms of the cut and the style and the color?
Yeah, I mean, I did everybody's hair. You name them. There was nobody that I didn't do. Back in the day, Leonardo DiCaprio, right before he did the Titanic, I gave him that short on the sides, long on the top, kind of old, period-looking haircut. Did his first big photo shoot with David LaChapelle in David LaChapelle's first coffee table book. One of the biggest makeover crazy changes that I did was Ricky Martin. I started doing Ricky Martin's hair when he was on General Hospital, and I did Antonio Sabato and Ricky Martin and Vanessa Marcel. I did the whole cast at General Hospital, and Tommy Mottola and head of Sony Latin America and Marty Callner, biggest MTV music video director ever, who I did all the Aerosmith Living on the Edge videos with. Every music video on MTV that won Video of the Year for like 10 years in a row, Marty directed, I did the hair on.
Did you ever work with Nirvana? I mean, they were huge in the MTV.
I did Kirk's hair twice, and I just got called up to come up and trim his hair, and he was kind of like, in his little sound stage. And
did you ever work with, like, Courtney Love?
I did Courtney Love's hair many times, and it was always like, cameras were never on, but let me tell you, it was like every time I did her hair, it would have been the best fucking episode of Blowout ever if the cameras were on.
Like, give me an example.
I'll tell you I'm going to give you a little little story. So I show up one day at Courtney's house, and assistant answers the door, and he's like, hey, how you doing? He's like, so it's a little messy. You know, Jonathan, how it is in here. So just come in. And I walked in. It was kind of like, you know, in disarray, but big, huge house, you know, in the Hollywood Hills. And I walk in and he brings me up to the bedroom and the bathroom and he sits me down. Bathroom like the size of, you know, 400 square foot bathroom. You know what I mean? Like size of your garage, you know, like huge bathroom. And he sits me down. He goes, she'll be right in. I said, okay. So I'm waiting, and all of a sudden, door opens and she walks in. She goes, hi, how are you? So what's going on? How you been? I was like, I'm good. Good to see you. She goes, so I have this thing tonight. It's like one of those fucking red carpet things again. I just so not into it, but you know, I want you to do your thing that you do. Like, you know how you do that like wave thing on me and make me look like, you know, like Marilyn, and I want you to cut my bangs and give me some layers, and my ends are all fried and kind of fucked up, and my color, like my roots are black. And I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Don't worry, sit down. Um, she goes, well, do you want to wash my hair? Because I haven't washed it in like a week. And I was like, okay, yeah, we can wash your hair. Or
Great.
how about I go out and you jump in the shower and then shampoo your hair. And then when you're done, I'll come back in. And she goes, well, I just took a shower, but like, why don't we just wash it in the sink? And I was like, okay, all right. Well, if we're going to do that, then let's do it in the bathtub. You can like lean over the edge and I'll take the hose from the bathtub and I'll wash your hair. It's much easier. Won't get your whole countertop wet and it's easier. And I was like, she's like, okay, yeah, whatever. So she was wearing like one of her robes, right? And I turn around and get a couple of my, you know, towels and get my tools out. And I brought shampoo always with me just in case, and because I had color with me. And I pull my shit out, put it all out on the counter, and I turn around, and she's like leaning over into the bathtub with her fucking robe off, like completely naked.
And
And I was
what
like,
was the event that she was going to? Do you know?
I don't even know, some big red carpet.
It's probably the VMAs or something.
Might have been the Grammys. I mean,
Man.
you know, I think that day I had done another, I think I did Bon Jovi right after her or something. And it could have been the Grammys or the VMAs or who knows, People's Choice, you know, whatever. And I turn around and she's naked. And I went, oh, uh, like, hold on. Excuse me, assistant, like, I forgot your name. Can you come in here? And she was like, she didn't even care. She was like hanging over in the bathtub, like waiting. And the assistant like came in the door and I went, hey, do you want to do something? Like, do you want to cover her up or do something about that? Because like, that's not okay. Like, you know, and, you know, listen, I was like a young, single, you know, I could have done whatever I wanted to do, but I wasn't that guy, you know. A lot of male young hairdressers were, but I prided myself on, like, not being a scumbag, straight male hairdresser and ever dating any of my clients or, you know, I always made women feel comfortable, you know, and safe. You know what I mean? Never. People always felt different. People either thought I was gay or they thought I was like a ladies' man and dated all my clients. And I was obviously neither of the two. I had girlfriends my whole life, never cheated, was always a good guy. I mean, I've been married 15 years now with 2 children and, you
It's
know,
amazing. Yeah.
anyway, the assistant said, hey, Court, can I put your robe over you just so Jonathan can do your... He said, can I put something over you? So she was like, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'm cool. He doesn't give a shit. And I was like, well, let's put something over you because I don't want you to get cold, okay? Because I'm going to wet your hair. And anyway, I shampooed her hair. We put the robe over her. She like got up right after I shampooed her hair, and the assistant was there with a towel. Because I said to the assistant, don't leave. Stay here with me, okay? I don't want to be alone. It's not okay. So the assistant stayed there with a towel, and he was like, it was a guy. He kept looking at his watch like, I got to go because I have others. I was like, you're not going anywhere, okay? She got up, like, robe fell off of her. She was head to toe, butt naked. Got up, like, hair wet, and he handed her a towel, and she was like, okay, what should I do with this? And I was like, put it over your head. Dry your hair. He took her robe. I said, put it over her shoulders right now and tie it. She can't be naked. Do you get it? Like, it's not okay.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, yeah, but you know, Jonathan, that's how she is. And I was like, okay, I get it, but it's unacceptable. You know what I mean?
You have to tell me what did you do for Madonna? What look did you do for Madonna? I'm dying.
Well, I mean, listen, when I first got the call to do Madonna's hair, it was from Ingrid Caceres, who was best friends with her, and I was like, oh my God, no way. I like almost shit my pants. I was so nervous, and I never got nervous. But she said, you're doing M. M wants you to do her hair. So go up. Cancel everybody. So I went up, and she was getting ready to go off and do her Blonde Ambition tour, and her hair was kind of like shoulder length, and she said, like, what do you think? And she showed me some photos, and, you know, Madonna knew what she always wanted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like you told Madonna what she was going to get. She would ask me what I thought, but Madonna also had 5 hairstylists, you know what I mean? She had 5 makeup artists, 5 hairstylists, 5 wardrobe stylists. Like, she would go between all of us for 5 colorists, 5 cutters, 5 blow dryers, you know what I mean? Like, it was who she just wanted to call that day, you know? And if your number came up, you were getting called. Anyway, I gave her that, like, really classic A-line bob.
And is that the one that she would curl? Because this is 1990, so.
That was the one that she would curl, like really loopy, separated individual curls.
The way you'd see her in the documentary Truth or Dare.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fucking unbelievable. And what do you think of how, because I've seen Truth or Dare 10,000 times, I know for like the second half of that tour, she would either leave it curly like the way you did it, or she would do the ponytail, you know, the famous
Of course. You know, when she did that ponytail, it was like a torpedo, you know what I mean? And then she had the torpedoes to match her hair, you know?
The bustier, the Jean-Paul
right.
Yes. Yep. Oh my God.
The Gaultier bustier. So, you know, listen, she was always ahead of her time. You know what I mean? Like, the last time I did her, I went up to her house, and she wanted me to trim her hair, and she wanted me to cut Lourdes's bangs, and Lourdes was like this big, and I went up and I gave her a trim, and right in the middle of the haircut, I noticed that she's got one of my jars of my product, and she's dug out the whole jar of paste and smeared it all over her face and her hair and her shirt, and I was like, oh, and she was like, had it in her mouth. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if you're supposed to eat that. It's safe, but, you know, she was like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll throw her in the bathtub. She's okay. I was like,
oh my God.
Okay.
Lourdes, like little Lola, was like eating your
Lola, yeah.
Oh my God.
She was like literally like chowing down my old paste.
The good news is she turned out okay. She's doing great. She's doing
great.
great.
Yeah,
She's doing
yeah.
great. Tell me more of the iconic haircuts or styles that you did. I want to hear about like Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt. Tell me about those.
I cut Brad's hair a couple of times. That was never anything because it was always just a regular haircut. It was back when, like, during the Gwyneth Paltrow period. So I would go up and trim them both and then just leave.
Wait, okay. I actually have a question about this. When Brad Pitt and Gwyneth Paltrow dated, they very famously had the exact same haircut and hairstyle and hair color.
Kind of for a minute, but he also had a short haircut for a period.
Uh-huh.
And those were my haircuts, not the long hair. Some of the bigger, I mean, that was like cool to me. That was a big deal to go up, but to me, those were just celebrity house calls, like some of the bigger things I did was like I was mentioning to you about like Tommy Mottola and Ricky Martin, like the day that we were getting ready to film Livin' La Vida Loca, right? Which was a big deal.
The music video.
Yeah, the music video, because the song was like larger than life, We're at Sony Studios, and we're getting ready to shoot Livin' La Vida Loca, and Tommy Mottola and everybody's telling me, like, this is the most expensive, biggest video ever. Like, $2.5 million music video. And, like, I can't even tell you how much I made on that video. It was like, I don't even care, I'll tell you. Like, I literally, back then, music videos, we'd work like 3 days and overtime, and you could make like $50,000 doing the hair in 3 days on a music video back then.
Holy shit. And how much were in the day? Okay, here's my question. So Madonna comes in and wants you to do her hair, or Sandra Bernhard, one of the celebrities. How much do you charge them for a haircut? Or when you needed to shampoo Courtney Love's hair, like, how much are you charging them?
But you're talking about 20 years ago and today.
Give me both. Yeah, give me both.
Back then, like when I would do a house call, I would charge like $1,500, sometimes 2,000. In the salon, I was like $350, but after blowout, I was $800 because I was literally booked like 6 months in advance. Tourists from all over because blowout was on in 45 countries. So like, tourists from everywhere came and booked appointments and flew into LA, and not just for me, but while they were here, why not go see Jonathan as part of our vacation?
Totally.
Like today, house call, I go to Malibu and cut, whoever's hair. It could be $3,500. It could be $5,000. It just depends on how they book it. If it's booked like weeks in advance or a month or two in advance, it could be $1,500.
Are house calls so expensive, for these celebrities because you're blocked out for like 4 hours? Like, you can't.
No, they're more expensive because I'm blocked out for a whole day. You know what I mean? Like, most of the time. When you go do these big celebrities, like, you can't have anything else to do. Because you go and you have to wait for them 98% of the time. You have to wait an hour, sometimes 2, until they're ready. You know what I mean?
You're no longer on your time. You're on their time.
No, you're on their clock. So you're waiting 2 hours. You know what I mean? And then you cut them, and it's like, in the middle of the haircut, they have to get up and do an interview. You know what I mean? And then when the weird thing was, after I did blowout, like, I was kind of in their position. You know what I mean? Like, the tables turned. So I was going up and doing their hair, and while I was there at, like, Livin' La Vida Loca doing Ricky Martin's hair, everyone was asking me for my autograph. And I was like, no. It's not about me. Don't ask me for my autograph in front of Tommy Mottola. Like, he doesn't even know who I am. He doesn't even give a shit. He doesn't watch Bravo, you know? So Tommy and Marty Callner, the biggest music video director in the world come in and they say, okay, so Jonathan, here's the deal. It's a big deal. Ricky's hair is down to like here. Like, he's like Tarzan.
Yeah, really long.
Like Samson, really long hair. We want to completely change his look. We want you to do his hair like how you've done Brad Pitt's hair or Johnny Depp's hair or DiCaprio's hair, like short, choppy, tall, like James Dean, like your hair. The way you do like the blonde chunks, like Steven Dorff back then, And I was like, okay, but you understand he's under contract on General Hospital, and I can't just cut all of his hair off. You have to get okay from the producers. I know this because I have cut one of their celebrities' hair off, all off, and I got in trouble for it. Like, they were going to sue me, and they made me make a $3,500 wig that they could use to cover her short hair.
Who was this?
It was Vanessa Marcel. She wanted me to cut all of her hair off, and it was a great choppy bedhead, kind of Lisa Rinna type of haircut. Whose hair I was cutting her hair, that choppy bedhead, before anybody.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Rina, the Rina Shag. Yeah, for sure.
So I said to him, "Listen, guys, I'll do it. Like, I think it's a great idea, but you got to get okay from ABC." And they were like, "Oh, we don't give a fuck about ABC. Fuck, this is only going to make him a bigger star on General Hospital. Fuck ABC. They can deal with it later." I was like, "No, I can't do that. You don't understand. It's a big deal. Like, his hair on General Hospital is what makes him a star. It is, at the end of the day. Other than his career in Menudo, and he's a rock star in South America, but like his hair, it's a big deal. Whatever." And I said, like, and secondly, you got to tell him. And they were like, no, you got to tell him. And I was like, it's not happening. I'm not telling him. You can tell him. There's no way. And they were like, we're going back and forth. And all of a sudden, boom, the door opens in the Winnebago, the big trailer. In walks Ricky. And Ricky's like, "Hey, Jonathan, bro, what's going on? How you doing, buddy? Everything okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, everything's good." And he's like, "Bro, I love that jacket." Everything Ricky did, he would walk in and he'd be like, "Bro, I love that jacket. I want to wear that today for the shoot. Can I wear that?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, but you have $30,000 worth of jackets here. Like, why are you taking mine? Wear one of your own." You know what I mean? But literally, in Living La Vida Loca and She Bangs, every video, every photo shoot, he always took my jacket or my shirt or my boots or something, because he always wanted my shit.
That's
anyway,
so funny.
Marty and Tommy Mottola said, "Ricky, hey, baby, how you doing? Kiki." That's what everyone called him, Kiki. So, listen, we have a surprise for you, and Jonathan's going to tell you all about it. And I was like, "No, they're going to tell you all about it." And they started to tell him, and then I kind of had to finish it up. And he was like, "I'm not fucking cutting my hair off. No way." And Tommy said, "Ricky, we're not shooting the video unless you cut all your hair off." And I've already spent $3 million. So if you don't want to cut your hair off, it's a waste of fucking time, because this is the new Ricky Martin. This is the new you. And he finally was, persuaded into it and said, "Jonathan, you promise me I'm going to look good?" I said, "Brother, I swear on my life, you're going to look better." I can even send you a picture of the day in the trailer that I cut all of his hair off.
Oh my God, please, yes.
I have a Polaroid on my phone of that day. And I cut all of his hair off, did his beachy, chunky highlights in the front like James Dean, and we shot the video, and he became the biggest star in the world for, like, I don't know. I mean, I think you're a little young, but he was the biggest star in the world for a good 5 years, 7 years,
I'm not that young. I remember watching all
Okay.
of that like the day it happened.
It was larger than life. And then he had that standing ovation at the Grammys he sang the Copa de Oro, the World
Yeah,
Cup.
he sang The Cup of Life, and that was an instant star making. Nobody, the American audience, the US audience did not know who he was. And when he performed The Cup of Life, he became an instant star in those 3 minutes that he performed.
Right. Yeah.
So tell me about the Rina Shag. Like, did you create that?
I mean, Lisa, I think the first time I met Lisa, she had kind of like a shorter sort of bob like shag, but it was never the like chunk, 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 that stuck out and, wisped out and long wisps in front of her ears and the shaggy bang and, all sort of Tina Turner fucked up bedhead cool hair. I'm the one that gave her that before anybody. I mean, Chaz Dean will tell you he is. I am. I gave it to her before Chaz. And I don't do her that often anymore. Chaz does her more often than I do. But I do Harry, her
Oh,
husband.
Harry, yeah. Well, and that's another couple where they kind of have the same haircut.
Yeah, I do Harry forever. Harry comes to me all the time.
What do you think when Rinna on Housewives of Beverly Hills and also for press, she does like these wigs or these weaves? Does that look good or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think Lisa's beautiful. She's cool. Lisa's wild. She, gets crazy. And, I mean, listen, don't forget Lisa's an accomplished actress. She is. I mean, she studied for a long time. She was on TV for a long time. So she's different than the other housewives. You know what I mean? Lisa, some people hate her on the housewives. Some people love her on the housewives. But at the end of the day, Lisa is a really smart girl, really intelligent, educated actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she knows how to work that fucking show. She knows how to get the roller coaster storyline going from as far as love and hate goes, and she knows how to work it and how to stay on and how to build the numbers, and she's smart. She plays the game like she should.
Did you this is just a shot in the dark. Did you ever have anything to do with like Jennifer Aniston, the Rachel and Courtney Cox? Like they kind of had iconic hairstyles in the early 90s. Where did that come from?
I styled both of them for photo shoots back in the day, but no, that was Chris McMillan. Chris had his hands on the Friends.
Yeah. You once said that the person whose hair you wanted to get your hands on the most was Hillary Clinton because you wanted to rock her out and that you thought she could handle it. So, did you ever get to style her hair?
No, I never did Hillary, never did Bill. I was this close to doing both of them, and it was all in the making. It was about ready to happen, and then they left town, and I didn't do them. But it was booked. It was scheduled. I was supposed to do them, and it all fell through. But I've always said I wanted to, because I knew Donald Trump before he was president. He was on The Apprentice. I was on Blowout, and NBC owned Bravo, so we would do press junkets together, and we would play golf together at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and I'd beat the pants off him because I did Tiger Woods' hair, and Tiger taught me how to play golf, so I was pretty lucky. I had the best golf teacher in the world. Anyway, I've always said he needs a fucking haircut. Donald Trump. I mean, more than anybody in the world. He needs a good fucking short haircut. Cut your hair short. You're the president now. You know what I mean? Get a good fucking haircut. Don't stop with this comb over weird shit. And I used to say it to him in person, and he'd be like, yeah, I really like my girl. She's she's, she does a great job. I really like my girl. She does a great job. And I'd be like, okay, well, I don't know if you want to call that a great job. No, she does a great job, And I'd be like, okay, whatever. Stay with your girl.
And great color, too.
Yeah, you look like Marilyn Monroe,
I'll leave you with this. Who is the one, aside from Trump, because we can't, I'm not giving him that power. Aside from Trump, now, who is the one person today that if you could get your hands on, you think you would really rock them out today in 2020?
I would love to change Jennifer Aniston's haircut. I mean, listen, I think Chris does a great job on her, but I think, no matter what she does, her hair always still kind of looks like Rachel.
Like, what would you do? What would you do to her hair?
The way I cut hair is, I cut hair perfectly, but I refer to it as perfectly imperfect. There's a lot of hairstylists today all over LA, all over Instagram, showing how they chop into hair and point cut it, and they give you the beachy waves, really thin ends, and fuck up your hair, but it grows out and looks like shit in 6 weeks. My haircuts last 4 months because I cut them absolutely perfectly, and then I go in and strategically and perfectly make them imperfect and fuck them up. But I perfectly fuck them up. The big difference between fucked up hair and perfectly fucked up hair. That's what I would do to her, is I would give her my layers that would give her some volume and some body and some movement, instead of it just looking like that straight hanging down, kind of curling underneath long hair. But I'm not going to say that her hair looks bad. Her hair looks beautiful because she's Jennifer Aniston. She always looks beautiful. But I would love to sort of rock her hair out a little bit, There's others, though, I think Leonardo needs me back, That hair is he's like a wild man, I think, what's his name? Who played Johnny Cash or the Joker?
Joaquin Phoenix?
Joaquin. I've always wanted to cut Joaquin's hair. I did his brother's hair for a couple of photo shoots before he passed.
Oh, wow. River Phoenix? You cut River Phoenix's hair? That's amazing.
Yeah. Way, way, way back when. It was really a shame, him losing him. That was terrible.
And if somebody who is in California presently wants to get the Jonathan Antin haircut, can they do you still work in the salon day in, day out? They can book an appointment?
Well, right now all salons are closed, and they're supposed to all be closed all over California, but in Beverly Hills you cannot walk into your hair salon right now. So it's killing the salon industry, literally crushing the salon industry. So I'm part of 10 different coalitions trying to fight the governor and, this whole horrible COVID-19 crisis that we're going through, this pandemic. It's so terrible. It's the worst thing in the world. And listen, it's only hair, but at the end of the day, if you look good, you feel better. And hair is important. And I feel like it's safer to get your hair cut in my salon than hairstylists just coming to doing house calls all over California. I think it's dangerous to do house calls all over California, all over the United States. It's safer to go into in my salon than do house calls. But I'm doing house calls now because we can't go in my salon. But if anybody wanted me to cut their hair, they send us an email, info@Jonathan Antin.
And for just a non-celebrity, a regular person, you said you're charging how much would you charge once the salons reopen? Once the salons reopen, what would the price be for somebody coming in the salon? And then if they want a house call, what would that be for, again, non-celebrities?
In the salon, I'm between $300 and $450, $300 and $450. It depends on the hair. It depends what I'm doing for a haircut.
I'm just starting to do color again, which I've missed for 20 years, but I'm enjoying it again, having fun. Those are my prices. My other hairstylists are maybe a little less than I am. For house calls, think double, sometimes triple, depending on what we're doing and where it is. The address of my salon is 9635 Brighton Way, Beverly Hills, 90210.
90210. And are celebrities still coming in, like making an, I mean, again, in a non-COVID world, are they in the year, 2019, 2020, pre-COVID, are they coming in and you can possibly be sitting next to Sandra Bernhard getting your haircut?
Absolutely, yeah. Who'd you say?
Sandra Bernhard. I mean, I'm just joking.
I did Sandra's hair forever. Yeah, of course. I love Sandra. Yeah, I mean, you can come into my salon at any given moment, any given hour, and be sitting next to one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. So, and you don't even have to remember info at Jonathan Antin. All you got to do is Google Jonathan Antin, and my salon and my name will come up, and
Awesome.
Go to my Instagram at Jonathan Antin.
Fantastic. Jonathan, this has been so fun. I mean, you have stories for days. I mean, maybe we can do another one because I feel like you have like another, I'm sure that you have. I'm sure we haven't even scratched the surface, but this has been amazing.
We haven't even, I wouldn't even call it barely scratching the surface. I have stories on top of stories. You have no idea.
I love it. Hopefully we will chat again. And this has been great getting to know you. You're a very talented guy, very admirable, family, such a talented family. It's been great getting to know you. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, you were wonderful. This is literally one of the most fun. I've enjoyed this interview probably, I think, about as much, if not more, than any interview I've ever done. You were really great.
Thank you.
Great questions. Really wonderful. Loving, sweet, all came from a place of love. And those are the interviews I love to do.
Thank you. You guys can follow me, Jess XNYC. Follow the show account, Hot Takes Deep Dives. Again, thank you all for subscribing to the Patreon. Bonus episodes on there. We're going to be doing more. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.